Hey there, confirmation class. Good to be with you, even if it is on a video from my phone in my living room with this dramatic lighting that I have set up so that you can only see my glowing face. It's good to be with you guys. I am going to do this in a very real and raw way. I'm going to be looking down at my binder here with the lesson plan and reading it. And then I may say pause and do these questions that are on the form below. And then you can do those questions and then come back to the top and resume the video. And we'll kind of just work through the lesson in that way. So I'll be looking down. I'll try to look up and make some eye contact every once in a while so it doesn't feel like I'm ignoring you. But I've given up on trying to make perfect videos. And instead, I just want to make videos that can allow us to continue to do ministry together and allow us to continue our confirmation learning. We have 6 weeks left, and so I'm excited to start tackling these last 6 lessons. We had to narrow down what we were going to do because we had things that were going to be at a retreat and we had all these other extra things planned, and so we had to kind of reevaluate what we're going to do. And so I'm excited for these 6 lessons. And so we're going to be talking about kind of the vows that you guys will be making at Confirmation Sunday. So part of what we've done in confirmation so far was we talked about our story. We've talked about our history and the history of the church, the history of Methodism. We've talked about the Jewish faiths and the history behind that. And we also talked about things that pertain to your faith and faith practice. And so, talking about the local church and talking about prayer and discipleship and all these different things. And so the last unit, the way we're going to close up confirmation, is talking about your commitment and how you live out that commitment. Jesus says that if we abide in him, that we will bear much fruit. That's from John 15:5. For Christians, bearing fruit means living our lives according to God's will and doing God's work in the world. And so in these last 6 weeks, we'll be kind of talking about these fruits as we take a closer look at our confirmation vows. So here's a spot in the video where you can hit pause and work on the next set of questions. At the bottom, I'll make a note that after you've finished those questions to jump back up and resume the video. So, just like a wedding, a service of confirmation involves vows, and as with wedding vows, these vows must not be taken lightly. Confirmation vows are very special promises that those being confirmed make to God and to God's people, particularly those people who make up our particular faith community or our local church. When a couple exchanges wedding vows, the two persons are making promises to each other as they begin life together in a new relationship. If those two people were to get married and then just say, "See ya," then obviously they would not be keeping those vows very seriously. Similarly, when one person is confirmed, that person enters into a new relationship with the church, and a relationship that is marked by the vows that you might make at confirmation. And when you do that, you are making those vows in the presence of God and in front of the whole church family. That's why in the midst of all of this stuff with COVID-19, that's why we won't do Confirmation Sunday until we can be together in person again, because confirmation is something that you do not only for yourself, you do it in the presence of the whole church and before God. And so we take that really seriously, that this is something that not only you are participating in, but the whole church is participating in as well. So the first vow that we'll be covering this week It says this, and it's from the page 34 of the hymnal. If you happen to have a hymnal, or you can Google, and I'm sure you can find a hymnal there. But I will go ahead and read the first vow of the confirmation liturgy. It says, "On behalf of the whole church, I ask you, do you reject the spiritual forces of wickedness, reject the evil powers of this world, and repent of your sin?" And this is where, if we were in person, we would practice as a class a good, hearty, all-together "I do," because these questions will be asked of you in front of the church, and you guys will get to answer together. And so we always love to practice giving a good, hearty "I do." But I want you to think about the words evil and wickedness, and then answer the questions below. So go ahead and pause the video and work on the next set of questions, and then you can resume the video after that. Sometimes when we hear the words like evil or wicked, we think of villains and situations from movies, books, or video games. But sadly, evil and wickedness aren't just confined to these imaginary worlds, but they are a very real part of the world we live in. You might think of things like headlines from the news, and that may be your idea of evil or wickedness in the world, and seeing all these things that come across, and they seem distant. They don't seem like they are very close to us, but like we know that evil's out there, but we see it, and it's in other countries, it's in other parts of the world. It's not affecting us. But unfortunately, for some of us, our friends and our family, we've experienced evil in very up close and personal ways, through forces such as violence, abuse, and addiction. Wickedness and evil don't just happen in faraway places. They touch people's lives and become very real to us and to the people we care about. Take this time to pause the video and work on the next few questions. So, Christians affirm that evil and wickedness are present in the world. You've already named several examples in our lesson today. But Christians also believe that God is always present and active and is more powerful than evil. Evil is the result of sin. Because all people are sinful, we create structures and institutions that exploit individuals and groups. We create and sustain poverty and destroy God's creation. Rejecting evil involves both resisting the temptation to do evil and resisting the temptation to encourage or participate in evil. That is, we should strive to eliminate sin in our lives, and we should also be careful not to support groups or institutions that are responsible for evil on a larger scale. Obviously, we are not God, and we have trouble sometimes seeing the bigger picture. We see poverty, starvation, terrorism, abuse, and murder, and we become overwhelmed. It's tempting sometimes to say that I might be too young to do anything about all of this stuff. Sometimes you may even feel powerless to address it. But I assure you, you're not. In our United Methodist tradition, and specifically in our confirmation vows, give us some help in responding to the forces of evil and wickedness. John Wesley, when he was organizing Methodist groups in England in the 18th century, one of his rules for the early Methodists was to avoid evil of every kind, and he gave some specific examples of the evil that we should avoid. This is a point where you can pause the video. I'm going to have a picture of all these things that John Wesley listed out, and a couple of questions to go along with them. We often feel powerless in the face of evil and wickedness, but God calls us to take a stand against these forces and to actively reject them. We cannot accept poverty. We must work to eliminate it. We cannot accept prejudice. We must, by our witness, help change people's thinking. When you vow to renounce wickedness and reject evil, you are promising to stand up against and actively resist any activities that are opposed to God's will. Some forces of evil may seem too big for us to take on, but God calls us as individuals and as the church to stand up and take action against the evil and wickedness that threaten God's children and all of God's creation. I hope you guys are doing well and staying safe and healthy. Make sure you finish all these questions that have been on this lesson and hit submit so I can see some of your responses. And then I look forward to doing this with you again, hopefully next Sunday, or at least early in the week. Hopefully Sunday, working to get it out on Sunday this week. So again, hope you're doing well. We are praying for you guys. I hope that you guys will connect with us on our Zoom small groups. And then we also have game night on Sunday nights where we're playing games on Zoom. And so I hope that you guys will connect with us and be a part of that as we continue to be separated physically, but finding new ways to connect. Hope that you guys have a great week, and we'll see you next Sunday. Bye.